Welcome today to a Fleet Week. Today we're looking at the Aegis dynamic ships. I'm joined by a couple of friends from the Synchronizers. I firstly have Rocket Man and Big Drew, and later on we will be joined by Gunshark.
Hey, thanks, Peanut.
Thanks, Peanut.
So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Up first is the Aegis Eclipse.
Well, that's interesting.
We seem to have an auto-open ship option here.
That'd be kind of cool.
So the type of ship that this is?
Yes,
It is
stealth bomber.
A stealth bomber, exactly. And that's that's not the most maneuverable ship, but it does carry quite a payload. And the stealth, when they get that mechanic fully working in the game, I think this is going to be pretty amazing ship. Noticing actually that it just went up for sale because obviously we have the Aegis event going on now, and so you can buy this ship right now. And that's one I don't have in my fleet at the moment, but I've thought about eventually I do want to have one of these.
So this is a single-seater ship?
Yes, a single-seater torpedo bomber. I think it carries, what, 4 size 9s?
Yeah, the size 9 torpedoes, which are they're different than missiles. Torpedoes are much larger and slower, but they're meant more for attacking large ships, capital ships, that sort of thing. And yeah, I think you're right. I think it's 4.
So it's a pretty solid, well-rounded ship. Pretty sort of hold its own in the battle.
It's definitely a ship that can punch above its weight class.
Oh yeah.
In terms of firepower.
This would be a kind of ship, though, I'd want to have a squadron of them. That if you're going to do serious damage with something like this, you're going to want to sneak up with, a couple of buddies at least, and this way you can bring a lot of pain to the enemy very quickly.
So where do you see the weaknesses in this ship? What are its downsides?
Oh, it's awful. It's ship to ship, and it's not very strong defensively. Right? It's meant to sneak in, attack from range, and get out fast. So the hull and the shields are not terribly good on it.
So there we go. The thing just won't let me get in the pilot's seat.
Yeah, where you were was the right spot. I don't know why it's not working. That's really odd. I have to get back away from that rental hotspot, though, because that'll mess you up. Get more towards the nose there.
Yeah, it just doesn't want to seem to let me in. All right, move on. So up next then is the Gladius.
Gladius is one of my favorite ships. Actually, it's
super.
It's a very nimble. It's a quote unquote light fighter, but it's quite potent. Very very fast ship. You can put quite a load out on this in terms of guns. And really, it's a dogfighter. It'll just get in there and scrap with stuff like you wouldn't believe. And the upgrades, weapons, components, that stuff matters a lot, and this is one that really matters. If you upgrade the components on this ship, you can put much better shields on it. You can put stronger weapons on it, better coolers, and this thing will kick some major butt.
Okay, so this ship is deemed kind of one of the fastest fighters out there. Generally mentioned speed. Most comparisons are generally driven along to the M50, etc., being
Yeah.
straight line speed, etc. How does this ship compare?
Well,
Compared
when you
to
say speed, really, we're not talking about speed as much as we're talking about velocity and what we call the 6 degrees of freedom. So it's not just how fast in a straight line will it go. Really, that's just a artificial limit set by the flight computer because in space you should be able to just keep accelerating. It would go as fast as you want, right? So they set a top speed for that purpose. But really, what you want to think about is the acceleration and you're thinking about it for forward, reverse, or retro thrust. Your strafing, which would be your side to side and your up and down. And then, very importantly for a fighter, is how fast it rolls, pitches, and yaws. How fast can you turn or rotate the thing around? A ship like this, you fly by using pitch and pointing the main thrusters in the opposite direction of, and accelerating using those because they put out by far the most power, right? So if you want to make a right-hand turn, you're going to turn more than 90 degrees to the right and use the mains to change your vector, right? So that you're pointing in that direction. And that's how it's going to turn very quickly. And that's what people get confused about. They see the ship, sliding, and they get confused about that. But sliding is a good thing. It's actually supposed to do that. It's really just a description of the path that you're taking to make that turn, right? These things are not attached to a rail or something. There's no atmosphere, so it's the thrust that's making you turn. And so a J-shaped turn is perfectly normal. And you really want to make it smaller, that's great. This ship has got enough power that on afterburners, if you did that maneuver I just described, you could black out.
Yep, been there, done that.
Yes.
So it's really at the limit. You couldn't do it any faster than that because it would just kill you, right? So
in overall capabilities in a dogfight, this would outmaneuver an M50.
It would outmaneuver an M50.
So just sitting in the cockpit, you can see there's a nice glass canopy above your head, and using things like track IR that I know yourself and myself do use, the fact that you can look around and engage where the targets are and actually see what's coming and where it's coming from is super, super important. I think the cockpit here really excels at that. So that ability to be able to sort of track your targets and just follow them is just second to none.
It really is, because what's going to happen more often than not is you're going to want to keep your target. Like I say, you want to use pitch turns mostly. So as the target is maneuvering, you're going to rotate your ship so that they're in front of you or moving towards overhead. So as they're doing that, you could be doing that maneuver, but also be looking up at the same time and being able to keep contact on them. So that if they maneuver, you know which way you need to correct, and you can really stay on them a lot closer that way. One of the real big advantages of a ship like this is to be able to get in close, because the range does matter as far as how much damage the weapons will do. And so if you want to be inside of 1,000 meters or even 500 meters ideally, you're going to need to keep a real close eye on that guy, and it's going to be hard to follow. So the track IR is a huge advantage.
So I'm a little bit biased with this ship. I do really like it. It's certainly one of my favourite of the fighters. So in regards to guns and armory and loadouts, what have we got?
Yeah. Well, so we can sort of go down the list here a little bit if you want. So, for example, the nose gun on this, the stock Gatling cannon that you see there, that's the Scorpion GT215. It's a ballistic repeater. That's a great gun. I actually like ballistic guns better. So right now, I think the stock weapons on the wings are going to be the laser repeaters, the M4As, or the laser cannons. Yeah, and those are long range, slow firing cannons. They've got a good high initial DPS, but what you really want again for this ship is get up close and personal. So I'd rather put Gatling guns all the way around. Personal preference. Right now, I think those are very effective. But you could do a laser repeater, a neutron repeater, something like that. Again, get it set up more for close range is what I would prefer.
Scatter guns.
The scatter guns are good. Slow fire rate, but huge damage. Huge damage. Okay.
So where do you see the weaknesses in this ship then?
Armor.
It doesn't have great armor. Absolutely.
It's get out fast, agile ship is not going to tank a lot of damage. So if you get a bigger ship that gets a couple good shots on it, you're going to be pretty beat up pretty quick.
So what would you recommend as main upgrades?
I definitely would upgrade one of the shields at least to the military. The FR-66 shield generator is going to give you a much faster recharge time. And then maybe put it's got 2 shields, so maybe put a big beefy one on there as well, so that you have a good balance of overall shield strength and then the rapid recharge time.
Right, I think that covers off the Gladius. Okay, so what we'll do now is move on to next to Titan. So we've got 3 variants here. So let's just head down the back here to the first one. And up first we have the Renegade.
Yeah, the Renegade. So there's the Aegis Titan. There's a bunch of different models. This is sort of a special loadout. The Renegade. This is not the standard one that you can just generally buy. It's good you can actually buy it right now. The Avengers. There's a line of them. There's the Stalker, the regular Titan, the Renegade, and the Warlock. So a Renegade is a version of the Titan that they had for an event a few years ago, and it's painted in special colors based on that event, and it's got an upgraded loadout right out of the box. Now you can take a regular Titan, I think, upgrade it to that same loadout.
So it's a nice clear cockpit.
The cockpit I like in this ship. It's a very versatile ship because, as you saw, you've got ramp, you've got a little bit of area back there for carrying boxes or a little bit of cargo or whatever. It depends on which one you get. For example, I have the Stalker. The Stalker has the prisoner modules in the back, so you don't get any cargo.
So if you were to look at this ship and compare it to, say, the Gladius, so where do the sort of similarities lie, and what would you choose one over the other?
Now, one thing I should point out about the Gladius is that it's got one of the newer instrumentation packages in it with the new HUD, and it's got the 3D radar. So the instrumentation that you see is much better. This has the very old package. It's got the 2D radar, the old HUD instruments. So as far as your speed indicator, your G meter, your fuel state, things like that, it's going to be the old HUD. Eventually, they're supposed to all get upgraded, but this one hasn't been yet. Obviously, this is nice that it has a bed in it. You can log out in the ship, so if you want to do that, these are more of a sort of an independent kind of, lone operator type of ship going out, although it can be a fleet support ship. But
So weapons then, what have we got?
Yes. Yep. So you're gonna have a mantis on the front of that, which is very nice. That's actually one thing I will give it, and that's on a gimbal as well. So that thing is fantastic. Very high rate of power. Of trying to say high fire rate and also good DPS at the same time, good damage. So it's a very good gun. It's one of my favorites.
So what weapons do we have on the wings over here then?
Those, I believe, are the Greatsword. It's a ballistic cannon. It's the lowest of the power, actually. But again, that's a long-range gun. So that's a, slow fire rate, but long-range, high damage per round kind of gun.
So similar configuration to what you got with like the Gladius then, really.
Right. Right, exactly.
So missiles, then we've got a couple here.
Yeah, you got a couple of size 2s, and of course you could swap those out. I think it comes with cross sections. One of the interesting things I learned recently is that in the size 2 missile, the Rattler is a very good choice. It's an infrared, but what's nice about it is that it has multiple independent warheads. So when you fire off a single missile, it splits off into the independent warheads, and the enemy sees multiple inbound missiles, even though you've only fired one.
Oh, very nice of offensive then. And over here we have the Warlock, I think.
That's the Warlock.
Is that the prison ship?
No, this I believe is the EMP ship. Let's go around the back, and we could tell that real fast. Yeah. So basically, the whole cargo area of the ship is an EMP generator, which is
It's like a giant hamster wheel.
So EMP, of course, is electromagnetic pulse, and the idea is you get close to the enemy, you fire that thing off, and you can take out all their energy-based systems. So their primary power, weapons, shields, all that good stuff, for a few seconds at least.
So I know there's obviously a number of different ships that have got EMPs. There's sort of been talk around people just whizzing up to a ship, stopping right next to it, firing the EMP, dropping the shields, and then just opening up on the ships there and then, and just destroying stuff because they've got no armor.
Yeah, there's actually, I believe, 4 different size EMP generators that are available right now in the game. You start off with the little tiny one that comes in the Hawk, and then it goes up from there. And the biggest one that we have today that I'm aware of is the one in the Sentinel, which I think we're going to see here. The Sentinel is nice because that's a large fighter that's got can have a pretty good weapons loadout on it, as well as having the strongest EMP in the game at the same time. There's people right now complaining about that ship being a little overpowered. This is the Stalker, and these are prisoner cells. So the idea would be that you go out to bounty hunting, you lock your prisoners up in these, I think they're supposed to be some kind of cryo cell.
So if you look at the Cutlass Red, it's also a prison ship with cryocells on the back, but they are significantly thinner, kind of smaller, on a racking type system hung from the ceiling.
Yeah, they're much smaller, aren't they? They sort of remind me of the carbonate thing in Star Wars, right? They're just about the size of a flat person. That's really all you have.
So moving forward into the front part of the ship, you got a bed, and on the other side you got a galley.
Mm-hmm.
Also got a nice bit of visibility from the cockpit.
It is.
So this is kind of one of the go-to starter ships, really.
Yes. It's a very starter-friendly ship.
Did you own one of these, Drew?
No, I went straight to the Freelancer Max right off the bat.
Yeah, I ended up. I had an Eclipse, and then I upgraded to this, and then I upgraded to a Cutlass, and then I've definitely got bias for the Cutlass, but for the money, this is a fantastic starter package. And I would not get the Stalker actually, because you want to have the one that's got more cargo room in it. Okay, because you want to be able to take some cargo, you want to take packages, whatever. So that wouldn't actually be the best one to get for that.
Yeah, you want to have the most diversity in early game.
So just really go for the base model of the Titans to start with, really.
Right. Yeah. Just your base Titan really would be the choice for the best bang for the buck.
And now on to the Vanguards.
There we go. I believe that's a Sentinel right there. Yeah. So you notice the front of this thing has just a little bit of firepower.
Just a bit.
Just a touch.
That is one heck of a bit of weaponry.
It is. So, yeah, that's. And then you've got the four. Well, right now they're disruptors. Those four small guns are disruptors. And actually, the whole loadout on this thing is disruptors, which right now don't work all that well. So it's actually a good idea if you buy this ship to switch out those, again, for either ballistics or laser weapons. And you're going to be a lot happier with that.
Gentlemen, Peanut.
Hi, Gunshark.
Gunshark, greetings.
So, what sort of missiles does this thing have?
I believe they are size 2s. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These look quite big for size 2s.
Oh, there's 2s. I'm sorry, there's 2s and there's 3s. There's 2 2s and 2 3s according to the spec. Yeah, all right.
So is that manned turret on top?
Are you assuming the gender of that turret?
Say again.
I said, are you assuming the gender of that turret?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, always can't get away from it.
So we've got a nicely laid out cabin in here with a toilet off to the left and bunks, etc.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
yeah. The cabin in these is fantastic, actually. Now, this one is eventually going to be equipped with what's called a war package, which is really it's an electronic warfare suite. So this is going to be, if you're familiar with the term, a wild weasel. It's going to be a ship that's going to go in and intercept, things like radar signals and heat signatures and things like that, while not being detected itself, and also have all the jamming capabilities.
Think about a sentinel.
Going to be a trickster. Spoofer. That'll spoof signature.
I just bought one, but I want it for what it will do, not what it does right now.
Exactly.
Right.
I have one for the same reason.
Well, for some reason this thing doesn't want to let me get into the pilot seat, which is really helpful because I was hoping to have a look at the cockpit.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, that's bugged. Well, that's weird the way that showing up.
I love the way you describe it as being a bug.
It's an oxymoron in Star Citizen, I suppose, but
Okay, so now to go and look at the non-gender Pacific turret then. Eh?
there you go. Which is also bugged.
So how many people is it to sort of run the ship? Sort of 2 or 3?
Two.
Two is what the design is for, yeah.
So this ship's really sort of designed to just go out there, stay out there, and sort of work at distance more so than anything else.
Yes.
It's
not an expedition ship, but it's a
long range heavy fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a ship you can go out. You can, you'll be able to go out a long way, pretty long ways with it.
Advanced scout is how I would think about it.
So, what are kind of the strengths and weaknesses of this ship?
Well, again,
or to the future, I guess. First question.
Well, I suppose really both, now and to the future.
But now it's pretty darn good. I mean, it can be overwhelmed, obviously, like any ship, especially if you have some good pilots, multiple fighters. But if it's able to get its EMP off now, it's pretty much it can disable pretty much any ship in the game if it gets close enough. But in the future, I don't think it's going to have too many weaknesses other than being swarmed. I think that's sort of you kind of want to and maybe it might be better against medium or larger ships, more effective. It's probably not going to be go toe to toe with a lot of fighters long term. Simply, I mean, you could probably fare okay. I'm just saying, if you're really outnumbered, then you can't expect it to,
When you have a good light fighter, right, attacking something like this, it can maneuver to stay out of the target zone of this ship, right, and at the same time it can inflict damage. And this ship is going to have stealth components on it, which are not going to be as strong, especially the shields, right? So the small fighter eventually is going to be able to wear down those shields and take it out. So I would agree with Gunshark. It's not meant to be a long-term, gunfighter ship getting in close with a good light fighter. The Gladius that we were looking at before, right? That equipped the way we were talking about versus this stock, I would take the Gladius in a heartbeat. But that's not what this ship is for, right? It needs to survive that battle and get away. Is really what it comes to.
Yeah, I kind of look at them as the Vanguards as like first strike vessels, right? Because they're ranged, they can probably go. They're going to be able to go further than your fighters in an unsupported environment, where they don't have carriers and stuff. So it's going to be able to reach out and kind of cause problems at distances, that other fighters aren't going to be able to do on their own.
And we were talking before about 6 degrees of freedom, right? How fast something can rotate, for example, or accelerate in a straight line, right? This isn't going to be as maneuverable.
I mean, I've always liked all the Vanguards, and any of the Vanguards are good ships. I think all of them are good. Sentinel's obviously the strongest right now. Long term, it'll probably be. I imagine if you learn the gameplay, it'll probably be very strong.
Right. Okay.
It'll probably be. I'm just guessing. If they do it right, it would be. If they do it right, the e-warfare stuff will be pretty tough to counter once somebody masters it. But we'll see.
Right.
Okie. Okay, so we're now on to our next ship. This one's the Hardbringer. Okay. So
this one's kind of interesting. It's kind of got a mixed role. They describe it as both a gunship and a dropship.
Okay.
So I don't know, Gunshark. You know this one better than I do. Why don't you talk about it?
The Harbinger. Yeah, it's designed to be a bomber. It has, I believe it has 3 or 4, I want to say 3 side torps. Is that right, Rocket Man? It's pretty much just, other than that, it's pretty much a regular Vanguard. It's going to have some extra armor on it. It's also the slowest one,
right,
of all the Vanguards. That's one thing I don't like about it. But depending on where Size 5 torps end up being their focus, I imagine the ship will be very strong against especially medium to medium large ships. It'll be probably terrifying. I just don't know. Right now, the Size 5 torps are really underpowered, so it's sort of hard to tell where they're going with that. But other than that, it's just a Vanguard. I mean, it's got all the same functionality the regular Vanguards have. It's still a very good ship.
So it's got some sort of missile rack type thing in here, whereas the other one had a kind of data suite center.
Right, exactly.
It's got rocket pods on the turret. Yeah.
Okay.
It has, and of course, it has. You can see the torpedoes in the module. You can actually see them launch.
Yeah, I can't actually get into the.
So yeah, they describe it here. It's a cross between a deep space fighter and a dedicated boarding ship, and yeah, it's it's meant to carry a team. So you can have a team of Marines on board. It's 8 of them. Is it 8? No, 6. I'm sorry. Can sit in the back.
The Hoplite or the Harbinger?
Am I looking at the wrong one? Oh, I'm looking at the Hoplite. I apologize.
Sounds like the Hoplite. Yeah.
That's the Hoplite. Yeah, I did get them mixed up. Thank you.
That's all right.
And yeah, that's right. The Harbinger is going to be the more bomber oriented. I say I don't know this ship very well.
That's cool.
I mean, the main downside of the Harbinger is not like a carrier-based bomber like the Gladiator. Gladiator carries the same size torps and I think one additional one over the Harbinger.
Yeah.
But it's a much smaller ship, and so it's designed to fit on Idrises and stuff like that. Vanguard wasn't really designed to do that. I guess it depends on the ship you're putting it on. But it probably won't. As of right now, it probably won't fit on an Idris, or if it does, it's going to be a very tight fit. So something to think about too.
Okie dokie. So our next ship in the lineup is going to be the Warden.
The Warden. That's the heavy fighter of the bunch.
Yeah. That's got another big cannon on the front of this thing again.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the base model of the Vanguards. Doesn't have anything really special about it. Its interior is very similar. Has an engineering station instead of the Sentinel Z warfare station and the Harbinger's torp module. But other than that, you're going to have the same functionality inside. It's actually the fastest of all of them.
Okie dokie.
So it's probably a little better at running down and gunning things. I really like the Warden myself, but it's not in the best place right now. With the Sentinel, you get the EMP. With the Harbinger, you get the extra missiles. You don't really get anything with this ship.
Other than access to the access to the gunning seat, which I couldn't get on any of the others. So that's an improvement.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I've found about this ship is that I discovered through this ship the capabilities of the Freelancer Miss because it's got more firepower, more missiles, more guns. Got the same Revenant ballistic Gatling gun, but it's got more of them. And
Okay.
overall, the defensive capabilities are very comparable. That'll carry more cargo. So in a lot of ways, I find the Mist to be superior to this. I hope that's something they balance out in the long run, because I think this could be a really great ship. Right now, yeah, nothing spectacular.
So just a run-of-the-mill ship, nothing you really you wouldn't run out and go, oh, that's the one to go for.
No.
You can go for anyone. The great thing about the Vanguard is they're modular, right? So you kind of, my recommendation when people want to pick a Vanguard, I just say pick the one you like the best. Pick the one that you want to start with, because the route is you'll better pretty much swap all the modules between them. The only real big difference is something like the hulls are going to be hull locked, right? So if you get the Harbinger, you're stuck with the heavier hull, right? You have the extra armor, but it's going to be a little slower no matter what module you put in it.
So you will actually be able to take all of the modules out of one and put it in the next.
That's right. So I could turn a Warden into essentially a Harbinger by just swapping the bomber module on there. Boom, done. Or I can turn it to a Sentinel.
Yeah, that was something that they did in this last rework, where they have made them all have the same hull and the modular capability, so that you could swap them around.
Or hoplite too, right? So you turn any of the Vanguards into a hoplite. So it's a very versatile. The Vanguard is a great choice if you want a nice versatile combat ship. They can do a wide array of things. I mean, it's really one of the best options. It's soloable too.
Are they going to enable it so that you could say, well, actually, what I want to do is I want to put a bed module in there, I want a seat module in there, I want an army module in there, I want that bit in there, or you have to have the whole pack as one?
Pretty much limited to what they have available, like the modules that are available.
Right.
But each of those modules pretty much has the same stuff. The slight differences. I mean, you're still going to have the same number of beds, except the hoplite. It's the only exception, right? It's because you're going to have, armor and weapon storage, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Room for two guys, basically. So you're going to be, from what they described, you're basically going to be stuck with, the modules that exist. I don't know how much you're going to be able to customize beyond that, but I wouldn't count on it.
I wondered if the front and rear maybe were separate modules. We could mix and match them that way. It doesn't look like, side to side, like you could put bunks on one side and instead of seats. No, it doesn't look like
you can swap. You basically, I could put a Sentinel module, I could put a Warden module, I could put a Harbinger module or a Hoplite module.
Okay. So who would these really appeal to then? These are a small org, or is it a case of, people that would want to play in twos, or where do you see these kind of things really fit in? Do they need to go out together, or could it be a ship that can go out totally on its own?
I think it's a ship it's a ship that you can solo, or you can roll with a group, right? Combat ship. It's not going to be cargo hauling or anything like that. But if you like doing bounty hunting or mercenary type stuff, and you want one ship that can do a lot of things, and that criteria very well, then the Vanguard is really the best choice out there, because you can turn it into a dropship, you can turn it into a bomber, you can turn it to just a heavy fighter, or a warfare ship. So it's very, I'd say it's just for that person who doesn't mind a slightly bigger ship, but they want something that's soloable and combat ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, even today, I could take one of these out, any one of them, and go out, do the claim jumper missions, do package missions, do the the different ground base missions where you have to take out the turrets on the ground before you go in and that sort of thing. And if you could bring some buddies along with you, so much the better.
Okay, right. That's good. So, on to our next ship then. So we'll start at the other end here.
Yes.
Okay, so we are at the Saber.
Oh yeah.
That's a nice
So
looking
I
little ship.
don't see the Raven here. What I do see is that's the base Saber, which is a stealth fighter, and then the Comet, which is really just a livery of the base Saber. It just has
the same ship.
digital camouflage on it.
Yeah, they're really the same ship. But just come with different stock loadouts and different paint. That's all.
These are right now, again, stealth is not really implemented fully in the game, so it's limited in usefulness. I like equipping mine more as just a straight out fighter, put the heavy shields on it, the military stuff. One of the really nice things about these is that you could put 3 different shields on it. It has 3 shield generators. So makes it very capable from that point of view. Good weapons. The hull is not as strong as the Vanguard's, so you get to keep that in mind, although the shields do help make up for that. Very nimble for the size.
Yep.
So these can dogfight pretty well. And so I find these to be a very versatile ship as far as, being an attack ship.
Yep.
It is a single-seater. There is no cargo. There's no cabin. There's no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just get in it, go do your mission, come home.
So how does this compare to the likes of the Gladius then? Because obviously this looks like a bit of a beefier fighter, can take a bit more of a hit.
Yeah, and much stronger offensively as well.
All right.
Not as maneuverable.
But you got to
it's not as fast
exactly.
It's not as fast as maneuverable, but it's got more shields, more power plants, and more weapons. It's got a little more durability. And when you do, I will say you can make this pretty stealthy now, Rocketman. I don't know if you've tried, but I know Super Twist is messing around with it, and I think he got his down to about you got to be within about 3 or 4 clicks to even see it.
Nice.
Which is significantly lower than a lot of fighters, and if you deck it out with non-stealth components, then obviously it's going to have a much higher signature, like 15 clicks or something like that. So stealth does work, but you always got to consider when you get into, even if you sneak up on them, you still get about a fight after the fact. And if you go with grade A stealth components, it's not a bad ship, but if you go with lower grade, it's not going to be as effective as a fighter. It got nerfed a lot in recent patches, but I still have hope for the Saber.
I love the way it looks. I love the way it flies, and it's also a very good value. I think for the money compared to other similarly priced ships, you get a lot.
Okay, right. So next up,
that's the one I have here. This is the one I was saying, the Comet. This is the same thing with a different paint scheme on. If you get around to the side, you'll get a better view of the digital camo that it's got. It's actually quite distinctive.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Now, one of the things that I really hope that they improve over time here is things like this ship has variable swept wings, and really all they're used for is they move with the landing gear. They don't really have any effect on the aerodynamics of the ship, and it doesn't change how it flies in atmosphere or anything, for example. Has nothing to do with how fast you're going. So it's not like, an F-14 or something, right?
Yeah. So
hopefully someday it will be.
There is talk about separating off the landing gear and the wings and such like in due course. So yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm kind of
surprised
they bring that in. Link that to the same mechanic as they have for the VTOLs. You would think they could use that same kind of mechanism to make that work sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
But
you'd
unlike
like
some
to
of the
think
older ships, like the Retaliator, at least these do sweep, so you do have something. Cosmetics, but at
Okay.
least it's something.
Weaknesses of this ship?
Maneuverability.
Yeah, it's not going to be as maneuverable as, like I say, the lighter fighters, and yeah, the hull on this one is not super strong.
The pitch and the yaw are pretty bad, especially right now. Of course, that's kind of hard to gauge how it'll be in the future, but I think it's reasonable to expect, given the advantage of the ship, that it's not going to be as maneuverable as a Gladius, right? Or it's quick to change direction. So you're going to lose a little bit on that, but we might gain a little bit of sneak attack, especially running in packs. They might be able to get a little closer to a enemy convoy before being seen. So.
Okay, yeah. So when you look at it, and they are considering mass, etc., as far as like ships and the components and such, like that is obviously going to have a big impact on it. It's a bigger ship, it's a wider ship. It's going to be harder to manoeuvre. So, understandably, like you say, the picture of yours is a bit, I don't want to say sloppy, but more delayed, I guess, is probably a better description. Do you think?
Yeah, just not as responsive overall as some of the light fighters, because it is a medium fighter. I look at the Saber as it's a strike fighter. It's an offensive ship. You bring it in when you want to blow up stuff. You bring them in good numbers, and they'll do well. But by itself, it's probably not the best fighter for solo work. I will say that. It used to be, but I think ships like the Gladius will continue to kind of sort of outperform on the solo 1v1 type scenario.
Now, this is a ship that quite interests me, the Retaliator. It really does interest me. I'm kind of I've
this
seen
is one
people
that
fly.
is an older design, despite some of its peculiarities. Let's say I actually have a real soft spot for this. I really enjoy this ship.
It's like a Blackbird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Like a mix between the Blackbird and it's awesome.
It's designated as a heavy bomber, and it's very good at that. 6 size 9 torpedoes, so you can certainly bring a lot of damage. But what people don't really seem to appreciate on this ship is that it also has 5 turrets that are quite capable. And if you fully man this thing, it's a pretty good gunship.
Yeah, it's very versatile too when you consider the modules that you can put on it. It's not just a bomber.
Right, and this one does have the front and the rear modules are separate, and you will be able to put whatever you want in there eventually. So there's a base Retaliator.
So there are variants of this, I take it then.
Yeah,
well,
this is the bomber version.
There's a bomber version and a base version, but the base version doesn't come with any modules. So long term, it's just kind of like a hull of the ship, right? But they announced several modules. You have a dropship module that fits in the front, holds 12 troops, and then you have a couple cargo modules that go in front and back. And then you have, I want to say, a living module. Which is kind of a weird thing that may be kind of dated.
This is a drone bay here, isn't it?
It's an engineering station. It's not drones.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, one of the odd things about this ship is that you have 5 turrets, you have the pilot, you have the engineer, but you don't have berths for all those people. So, if you're going to go out on this ship, it doesn't have it doesn't have a galley. You're definitely be hot bunking in this thing, and that's where one of the turrets is right there. And it can be very, very good. Again, if you upgrade all the turrets, but I like the ballistics right now, but whatever. You can upgrade all those. You can upgrade the shields, and it will sleep 5, I think, altogether.
All right.
So you could do some medium, long-range stuff with it, but you wouldn't want to live on it forever.
So it's like a space. Go on.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt, but yeah, I think it's
like the old B-52 bomber, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very stark, very minimalist inside. It really is a dedicated ship, but it does have some modularity there. But It's got VTOLs. It's really cool overall. Really cool design. I think it's going to be kind of I don't advise it unless you really want a bomber. Long term until we kind of know how the rework goes. Because
I'm going to tell Laura about you said that.
It's one of his
because the
favourite
reasons
ships,
you
isn't it?
mentioned.
No, you're right.
Well, I'm just saying it's just I mean, if it's a great bomber in its design, but it's not like a Constellation or like those other ones where you can do a lot of other stuff.
No.
Yet. Now, I think long term it might be. Something to look out for.
See, so there's 6 bunks snuck in there, nice and tightly in the back.
Oh, it's okay. There's 6 in here. All right.
Yeah.
So you got the 6 here, and then there's also a captain's quarters, if you will. There's one more downstairs.
Oh wow, they've crammed a lot into a very small space.
They have. That's actually the turret you're in right now.
Well, he's not in the turret. He's on the second. The turret goes up there. Yeah.
Okay. Got so that's the top turret.
That's the top turret.
Front,
then there's one right behind the pilot seat is the forward bottom turret. And then you saw the 3 in the back, 2 on the top, 1 on the bottom.
So there's a turret down here.
Yep.
Right, okay. And then there you say there's the captain's quarters. Where on earth did it be the captain's quarters?
So go left. Yeah, go to your left. There you go. Now, here's an oddity. So you go in there, there's your captain's quarters. No.
Yep.
Not very luxurious, but a little private at least. Now, that wall in the back there, that bulkhead, behind there is the head. But you can't get to it from here. You have to walk all the way around the torpedo room in order to get to it.
Get off the ladder.
It's a very grabby ladder.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember, too, the Retaliator hasn't really been touched since, like, 2015 or something.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the few models that haven't really been touched in a long time. So, exactly.
That's the bulkhead where the captain's quarters on the other side of that.
And you can tell by the way the interior is done, it's not as efficient as some of the newer designs. The bathrooms and everything,
But it does have it does have airlocks.
Yeah, no, not airlocks, but it does have docking collars, and then it has also the 2 lifts, so you can get people out of it pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just what the ship is missing is just additional gameplay. As far as bombing, I wish it had a bombardier seat. Commander seat.
Yeah, that would be great.
You need to, it requires a lot of crew, but all they do is man turrets.
Mm-hmm.
The pilot pretty much does everything else. Which probably would work fine. It worked fine 5 years ago, but seeing where the ship goes, I'm hoping it gets more of a focus where you can have maybe 4 or 5 people run it instead of needing 6.
Yeah.
You have more specialized positions would be cool.
So
I will
this
point
is
out
obviously
the VTOLs there that you're seeing in the front there. You see the 2 that are in the down position right now. Okay, so they would rotate aft. Okay, and actually contribute to the forward thrust. You have 2 on each side in the back, so there's 6 altogether of these VTOLs that rotate back and add to the main thrust. Okay, then if you go around the back, you'll see the main thrusters are actually pretty powerful. So when you've got everything in the flight configuration, this thing will accelerate surprisingly well. What it doesn't do is decelerate. It has 2 medium-sized retro thrusters that are pretty abysmal for the size of the ship compared to, what is it? I think there's 4 main thrusters. It's got quite a bit of main thrust. So expect to go forwards very quickly and not to slow down very quickly at all. This one, you'd want to spin it around, and it doesn't spin very fast either, but it actually, if you're going very quick, you do want to spin around 180 degrees and do a main retro burn.
So maneuverability is your issue with this, but it's got plenty of gunpowder to keep itself alive if it is being attacked by, if you were say to go toe to toe and bring a Gladius against that or one of the Sabres against this, you're going to have a pretty decent pilot, otherwise he's going to be toast very quickly by the amount of firepower this thing delivers.
You're gonna want to have good turret gunners in this, and it can defend itself fairly well.
You can't fly it like a fighter, right?
Right.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand when they first get in there, because it looks kind of, it's got all these turrets and everything. But you think about its intended use, right? Say you get like 4 or 5 of these in a small wing, going to hit an Idris. They're going to be going as fast as they can go. They're going to be in formation. And so if a fighter comes to intercept them, they're not going to have a big advantage because they're going to be, those retaliators are going to be going full speed. And so those fighters are going to have to catch up, which means if the bombers are in formation, those turrets have a lot of cross coverage, right? And those fighters aren't moving as fast relative to the gunners if you're going full speed, right? So if you use it like that, you come in, hit your targets, and fly out. Don't turn around, right? Because they aren't going to turn. They aren't going to slow down. Just fly right through it, right?
Just keep going. Just keep going.
Just keep going. I think it'll work fine. I really do. I think a lot of the criticisms of this ship are kind of under the assumptions of using it like a big fighter or something,
Misunderstanding here where it sits.
It's not a gunship, even though it's got a lot of guns. Those guns are to shoot fighters that are trying to pursue it.
Got ya. Okay.
But it doesn't do. I mean, it doesn't. When you get those VTOLs and you come in, it could probably be a decent dropship too because it's got some good coverage on bottom turrets, right? So
yes,
it's not bad, So it could probably double duty as a decent dropship as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I said with those lifts in the bottom airlock as well, or the docking collar, I should say, you can get out of it very fast.
And now we move on to this thing needs no introduction, the Hammerhead. So this lift has killed me more times than I hate to remember.
Oh no.
What I will say to anybody that's new to the game, when you get in this ship, this does not lead to the bridge. It leads outside, as I found out once in Quantum. I was looking for the bridge and got lost on the ship. It's that big, and I ended up on this lift, going down. That bit didn't kill me. When I put the lift back up, that's when it killed me. So, not a good
Gotta read the signs, Peanut.
I know. I was running around going, this is a lovely big ship. Doesn't the hallways look like the Millennium Falcon? It's beautiful. Oh, look, there's the bridge. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's a doozy in there.
Yeah, so we've got a...
So this is not a ship that you want to fly solo.
Absolutely
and the
not.
main reason for that is that the only thing you have to control from the cockpit are the missiles, which are okay, but the whole purpose of this ship is to bring 6 massive turrets to a fight. You've got to be able to crew those turrets.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive ship.
Yeah.
Nice accommodations for everybody. It's got all the crew quarters, the galley, the captain's quarters, all the stuff. But you got to fill this thing up for it to be useful.
Definitely. I think, when you look at the purpose of this ship, obviously it's a heavy gun ship.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it as a short-range patrol ship, like within a system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going from planet to planet.
Yep.
You want to patrol around. You got a group of guys, 6, 7, 8 guys that want to work together. Maybe some Marines on board. This is a great ship for that. It brings a lot of firepower to bear. It can definitely work as a static defense for escorting other ships, or just finding little squads of fighters to take out. It's great at that.
So
really cool ship.
I think one of the biggest takes from this on initial looks when you look at a Hammerhead is that the fact that the cockpit is actually underneath. It's on the belly of the ship, where everything else is always up above, always been able to look over themselves, whereas this, you can't do that. You can't look and see if there's a ship sort of bearing down on you from above, but what you can see is ground stuff, that maybe anti-air stuff that's kind of coming at you, is the kind of feel I get with this ship. Where,
Yeah, it's great for flying over planetary, environments, moons. Of course, it doesn't have any real VTOL, so to speak, but it seems to fly well now.
It handles well. It's not very fast, but handles really well.
Yeah, it's not a hard ship to fly. It's fairly nimble for its size.
Yeah, it's great for close air support.
Yeah, I think I can see it serving as attacking moon bases. Depending on the air defenses they have. But obviously, the guns are going to limit it the most for its intended target. It doesn't have any heavy guns. Mm-hmm. It's all size 4, which are really for fighters up to like medium-sized ships.
Yeah.
Medium large.
So you got your front docking collar area, or front entrance, as it were, for EVAing, etc., which actually works really well. You've got the double door there. I quite like that. Is it designed for docking with things or not from there?
Yes.
It is.
Yes, this will be able to go right into a station dock straight up that way. It's just like the Idris or other ships like this. Very cool.
Okay.
Or you can deploy Marines from there, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got 4 side turrets, 2 on either side, 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Which
Correct.
the one on the bottom always does mean you get in it and you suddenly inverted. It's a very weird. See, when you look at something like the Carrack, you get in the rear turret and that one stays upright. That's very nice. The fact that it stays upright.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of prefer the upright ones myself. But I always view the ones that flip upside down are more for space combat, while the ones that stay upright tend to be good for ground stuff because it's very disorienting when you're flying above ground and everything's upside down.
Very much so. So these turrets, as everybody's well aware, don't sort of extend out as far as, say, those that are on the Carrack and such like so. But they've still got a good spread, haven't they?
They've adjusted them and they actually extend out pretty far.
Okay, right.
And you actually got a pretty good field of coverage with those. It's surprisingly good. Now, if you go, okay, we'll go ahead there. That's fine.
It's engineering area.
Engineering, okay. I don't know if I've ever been in here.
There's another one just like it on the other side too.
No,
I think the Hammerhead's turrets were designed to be like a mobile. I mean, they really kind of made the Carrack's turrets mimic this turret because the turrets are so darn good on this ship.
Yeah.
And then of course it's your crew quarters.
Yeah, and I say these are actually surprisingly nice.
There's
plenty of room in here,
eight bunks in here, so that's good. So it's certainly designed with running shifts almost, isn't it? So we got a leaky pipe.
You get a max support for 9 people.
We need a plumber. We got a leaky pipe.
Yeah, where's Airman Scruffy? Spaceman Scruffy, get in there.
I think that's just the showers. The other side is where the heads are. And then if you go the other way.
This way? Okay.
Yeah, and go down to the left. And to the
captain's
right.
Quarters. Yeah, captain's quarters to your right.
Captain quarters here.
Yep. And this is actually quite nice.
Yeah.
A nice little office and some some display counters, books. And you get your own private bathroom and bedrooms.
Yeah, that's actually the bedroom and the bath back there.
I see. He's got clothes here already.
Yeah.
First time I've seen clothes hung up.
You can't use them, but they're there.
Yeah. And then obviously the shower and washroom.
That's quite nice. I mean, like I said, you could take a group of guys out for a pretty long time. And you don't have all the functionality of a capital ship, but you got, you got facilities for everything.
So that's our top turret,
right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's a entrance.
Now that's the lift to the upper level.
Okay, we'll take this in. See, I still get lost on this ship. I don't spend enough time on it.
No, it's an easy one. It's not too difficult. Not like the Starfarer.
Peanut, are you streaming it?
I am. I'm really worried about that. I thought it wasn't going to drop me through the planet for a minute then.
Yeah, that was kind of odd the way it looked.
Yeah. Okay.
If you go back to your left, you just pass the
the
dining area.
So Peanut, really strange. So you were in my channels I followed, as I'm following. Yes.
Okay.
But I don't see you online streaming.
Which is really odd. I'm having somewhat of a challenge with Twitch at the moment, but they're not listing my channels correctly, which is really frustrating. So I'm just trying to generate content with the view that eventually they'll sort it out. I'm on about email 5 to them now, so I'm determined. This reminds me of Aliens. It does remind me of Aliens.
It's a lot like the eating area in the reclaimer too. You can tell it's the same design, same ship manufacturer.
I actually like this one a lot, though. It's well lit and well laid out. There's plenty of room. It's
Oh yeah, the
Real good.
Hammerhead's really cool ship. You don't have all the functionality of a true capital ship, but it's for a long range patrol ship.
yeah.
Great.
But we do have the access to a big cargo bay.
Oh,
Which is,
wow, this is really strange.
Yes.
Peanut.
40 SCUs, and you could also put vehicles in there.
I can't
Okay.
even find you when I'm searching your channel.
See,
So
it's so unfair, isn't it? I'm
This
putting
is
this out there
this
for
is
people.
weird.
I am watching the stream, but I didn't get notified. I was one of Peanut's first subscribers, and I actually unsubscribed and resubscribed just to see if that would maybe reset it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really odd.
Yeah, I was having that problem.
Yeah, it'd be fine. It'll
Now,
work itself out.
One of the disadvantages of this ship is that there's no airlock here. There's no air shield or airlock or any kind of capability.
Oh wow!
So unfortunately, once you open that ramp, you've evacuated the ship, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really designed to like deploy its stuff on space type environments. You need to be at in a hangar or on a atmospheric planet because of
But
that.
you can get a couple of
Yeah, I
rovers
think- I
on
mean-
this, can't you?
Yeah, you can fit the
How do
rovers
you have-
on.
Sorry.
Does the Pisces fit? It looks like the Pisces would fit.
Not sure.
I
on that one.
haven't
It'd be pretty
tried
tight.
that. I don't know. We've got a Merlin in here, but Pisces, maybe.
Yeah, only
The
thing
Merlin,
reliable.
we had to put it all sideways, so I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe not
Cyclone's
then.
reliable, and in the
Mm.
Ursa it's reliable.
Yes, yes.
Anything below an Ursa in size shouldn't be a problem. So here's
Okay,
your
this is
favorite rear turret.
the
Bottom
rear
turret.
turret, the inverted house of hell.
Yeah, I wish they would do away with those inverted turrets personally, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great ship. I mean, it's gone through different stages. I still think it's not quite where it needs to be, but it's close as far as balance. So I'm sure it'll only get better.
I think one of the biggest problems with the ship right now is a lack of emission.
Yeah, exactly. Like you need to. This is for taking it into really hostile territory, taking out a bunch of fighters. Not a lot of missions like that, really.
Holding down Jump Town was always good with one of these.
Yeah.
Right,
absolutely.
right. And
That was always
exactly,
very
that
fun.
kind of thing is exactly that's a mission. Right. That's
Yeah,
exactly
we basically
the kind of
you
thing
just
it's
floated
meant for.
over and used it as an aerial. Basically a mobile AA platform. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, and
So-
say those were some great times. That was when I was first joining into Star Citizen, and we were heading over and doing Jump Town missions, holding down the area, keeping it safe for people to trade and that was superb. And this ship was just so good for that. It was so much fun.
If you take one last look at it, compare the aesthetic of this to the Retaliator, you can really see how, the brand has matured, right? The Retaliator is showing its age, right? That landing gear is kind of wonky, and just the newer ones, they've got a real polish to them.
Yeah, and I say that's certainly a ship in itself. I think it looks the part, and it is quite a pleasing ship to look at as well. I'm definitely going to get one in my fleet.
Yeah, you know what it is, right? When it's coming, you see one of those
Yeah,
silhouettes.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah,
When
they
you
sell
hear
them
one
in
coming
new
over you.
deals. They sell them in new deals, which is always good, Bit of the old UEC on it. Okay, so
Guys,
back
did
up
someone
the
of you
stairs.
picked up the Origin G12?
I bought some
Just 'cause I wanna trade it
CCUs.
in later.
So let's have a look. So where we go first? So what have we
Yeah, I
got
bought some
on this
upgrades
side?
just to have the option later, but I wasn't convinced. It looks
That
pretty
looks
cool.
like a Nautilus.
It does indeed.
Oh, this is the Nautilus, yeah. Oh my god. This is stunning. Oh wow.
See,
And
we're
it's not
having
that expensive.
we were having a bit of a debate about the purpose of this and where it sits and how it works and such like. And there's kind of a bit of a mixed feeling with this. I'm kind of the thing of when you settle down and you set up a base and you want to protect the route into it, or you've got a jump when you want to protect, or a mining claim you want to protect. It's not the kind of thing I think you just go around and just randomly just drop bombs out here and there and hope you're going to catch somebody, really, you know?
You know, that kind of bombs, they have proximity where they
Okay.
can, so like magnetic, you know?
Right,
I
but
don't know how
either way, you
the
gotta
range
know.
will be. But
Right,
the thing
that's
is about the Nautilus, that you can also put sentry turrets, you know, instead of the mines in it.
Oh, that's very interesting. Very
okay. But
interesting.
either way, you're going to need to have those in a reasonable proximity to where you're expecting the enemy ships to be, right? And
I agree.
we could talk about how big that range is, but let's face it, space is huge, right? So you're going to need to be able to put those on a known route, let's say, right? So that's, I think, where we got a challenge with it. So, well, what's a known route? I mean, right now we don't really have a lot of really tight choke points, if you will, right?
It's definitely an orc ship.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So size-wise, bigger or smaller than the Hammerhead?
Oh,
Bigger.
they're right.
Bigger.
Yeah, but they're right close, aren't they?
Okay.
This is 125 meters long,
Right.
and let me just get the hammerhead back up here real quick.
Welcome, Russ.
Is 115 meters long. So like I said, they're pretty close lengthwise. Now
Okay.
the beam, I think, on the hammerhead is bigger than this. It's wider, and the height on this, I think, is primarily because of those deployable arms for the the missile or the mine launchers.
3-man crew? Is that right? Or is it more than that?
I don't have one of these, so I'm gonna have to look at it. I don't know that one off.
Oh, you guys looking at the Nautilus now?
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just discussing where it fits, into an org, where it would ultimately be utilised the best, and things like that.
Crew is 4 to 8.
4 to 8. Wow. Okay, that's a lot of crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it can run on pretty much a minimal crew though, if you want. That's one of the cool things about it. Yeah, Minesweeper Mine Layer, setting up defenses on space stations or mining areas that are of interest. I think it'll play a big part, probably bigger part than a lot of people realize initially.
Yeah.
And another thing I think that people don't acknowledge about this ship is that you've got 2 size 7 guns on that forward turret.
I was about to ask about them.
It's not a weakling.
Pretty massive guns for the size of the ship, especially.
Yeah, I mean, you think of it as just about the size of the Hammerhead, a little bit, maybe a little bigger. Yeah, it doesn't have much in other weaponry, just some size 3 anti-fighter turrets.
It's got these 2 little turret things, yeah.
Yeah, but the size 7s, obviously. Yeah, size 7s can play that's bigger than pretty much most of your medium to large ships. So, yeah, it's going to be able to punch some holes and stuff. And it has an additional large shield on it. It's got 3 large shields and heavy armor, so it's going to be extremely tanky. So it's definitely like something I could see if you have a battle going on. It could go out, maybe block off areas with mines and hit enemies at a distance, with this longer range guns.
You wouldn't want to be chasing it down, would you? Not with what's going to come from the back.
That's right, yeah. He's just going to launch out a bunch of mines.
That's it.
It's not something that's probably going to go head on into a conflict, but I could see it definitely having a role.
I could see that being like a defensive ship for, other capital ships, right? Where it'd be laying mines to protect the route the other ship's flying. It could come in, attack stuff that's trying to come in, again, and more defensively, but, hold it off, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we got the Redeemer next, according to this.
Yeah, it's looking good.
The Redeemer. If only they would ever build it.
They've done
it looks like
right?
looks like it got a little nice upgrade in weaponry.
Yeah, no kidding.
Model. So looks like it's got 4 size 3s in the front for gimbal pilot control, 2 size 3s in the rear, and then 2 dual size 4-man turrets. And I'm hoping that bottom turret is an straight up and down turret. It really needs to be, and
that
not
would
flip
be nice.
upside down. And the original concept it was. So hoping they retain that. But yeah, it's got a lot of firepower. It's not super big. It's a gunship. Should do really well.
Yeah, it looks pretty beefy.
I know it's going to be.
Is that potentially a remote turret at the back there, or do you think
that's a
manned?
remote turret? Yeah, I bet you that's a remote turret. It's too
Looks
small
like
for
it,
it.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got a loading bay in the back. It's got very much a Slave 1 look about it, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm hoping they have a bounty hunter version of this or something with a couple, cryopods in it or something. It'd be perfect for that.
That is very Slave 1-y. That does look very nice. So that looks like that's a sort of a 4-man cruise ship, really, isn't it?
Yeah, 3-man, 3 maybe 4. We'll see. Maybe if there's a co-pilot position or not. The original concept didn't have a co-pilot, but
this is the community design ship.
That's right.
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's the
is.
community.
You're right.
I kind of wonder too with those engines. Will it go into a VTOL mode? That'll be interesting. I hope so.
It does look
Open
like
it
they
up.
rotate, doesn't it?
They can rotate totally on that, so they and they open up like in a V. So you could think they could just like flip down and open up, so it could just like hover in place really well, like a helicopter.
So that offers it some real versatility when it comes to maneuvering and holding a position, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a good short range strike ship. It's not going to have long range like the Vanguard or anything like that, but you need some firepower. You don't have enough people for a hammerhead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's probably next best thing, right? So
Yeah.
But obviously, still not on the roadmap, I take it then.
not on the roadmap.
Rework it completely, I guess.
Yeah, you can tell they're working it though. I mean, they've definitely they're keeping the original flow of the ship, but the firepower, the 4 size 3s for the pilot, that's a big nice improvement, and that's a decent amount of firepower for the pilot. So
Maybe it's too much.
yeah, it's got twice. You think about it, it's got twice the firepower of the Prowler, right? So I don't think it's too much.
I think it's appropriate for the role and the size of the ship. Yeah.
You need a crew to facilitate to be able to utilize that. So
yeah.
Oh, hang on.
If
The
they're gonna
front
release
of
it with
the
that
front of the
gas,
Eclipse is
then
open. We're
gonna
going to try and see if we
hurt
can get in this. Turns out I
the
don't
other
think
people.
my
Did you have
microphone was working
was
at
that
the
rent
start.
again?
I don't think my microphone was working at the start of the stream, so we might have to talk about the Eclipse again.
Oh. Okay.
I noticed I don't think my microphone was on, which is quite annoying, but
Still can't get in.
I'm one of the lucky guys who got the Eclipse on the concept sale with a badge number.
Ah.
wow.
Nice.
This is one of the ships you like, isn't it, Drew?
Yeah, it's one of the ships I'm grinding out for in game currently to have in my fleet and purchasing with in-game UEC.
it's stealthiest ship in the game right now.
It's got I think I just took it out for a test drive. I think it shows three missiles or torpedoes,
So-
whatever you want.
3
Okay.
size 9s. Yeah.
Very nice.
About it. So I did some calculations on Urkel, the DPS website, about how low I can get those emissions on there.
Mhm.
And with maxed out components, turning off shields, and not firing weapons, firing absolutely stationary, it has its emissions is at 300 or 299, with when it's maneuvering at 314.
Okay.
Which is insanely low.
And what would it be
Just
out
put
as
up on-
standard stock flying around? What would it be
Standard
putting out?
stock flying around, shooting its weapons and charging its shields. It's 1500.
Wow, that's an incredible difference.
But here's the thing: a Gladius, right? We'll go with the Gladius stock loadout, shooting its weapons, charging its shields, and in a combat situation has a EM signature of 20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it comes pretty stealthy, but if you improve it and you fly it properly, you can sneak right on in there. So if you're flying around the verse and all of a sudden you just disappear, this is the culprit, right? So
Right, okay. I would imagine that they're the same over this side is going to be the Nautilus and that. Yeah, so it's exactly the same as it was. Right, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we're, what we'll try and do then, if I can, I'm sure I've rented most of these, we can probably go and have a bit of a manoeuvring session, potentially, if we can. Certainly with the Eclipse, because obviously I've been unable to get into the cockpit of that. I think that'd be one definitely to do.
Yeah, Eclipse is a favorite.
It's absolutely one of the best looking ships.
Yeah, it's a really cool design. It's one of the better. It's one of the best thought out ones, I think.
So I've got
on
that.
the Aegis line.
Okay, so let's go and get the Eclipse.
It kind of shows that the Retaliator needs a little bit of a buff, though. You know, if they
it does, doesn't it?
So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
How does the Gladius compare to the Pirate Gladius? Because that's got a different loadout, I believe, or is it just a different skin?
It's just the skin.
It's a skin.
No, it's not only the skin.
Well, the stock loadout is different, but it's nothing you couldn't do to a stock Gladius.
Same hard points. Same hard points. Yeah, same ship, really. It's just kind of. I don't really worry about skins too much because you're going to be able to paint your ship any way you want. So, unless you have something really cool, I probably wouldn't jump on it. But probably no reason to pay extra money for it unless you just really want it.
But thank you all for coming and watching, and come over and join us on the Twitch channel. It is twitch.tv/Peanut Crusher. Enjoy the verse. See you soon.